Welcome to a very interesting episode of Advertising is Dead. Mainly because I'm not hosting this episode. I've handed it over to a higher power. And I have Pooja on the show today. Pooja, you're taking on the host duties for this special Valentine's Week thing.
Are you worried about that?
Uh,
That I'm going to spill some?
Maybe a little concerned. I'm like trying to figure out what you're going to talk to me about. You haven't shown me your notes. I'm a little, okay, what is she going to talk, what's she going to put out there? But also very intrigued to know. But what are you going in with in terms of what's your mindset like in terms of what you're going to prod?
I'm actually, I believe that I know you the best and the most
Yeah.
in the world today, right? And even though you're really out there, but there's so much about you that people don't know. And I know you have people who truly follow you and, and look to your updates and things like that. And it would be nice to know you as just a regular human being.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you. And that's what I want people to know about you.
Okay, so that's going to be interesting. So I'm Varun Dugirala, and this is,
Pooja Johari.
and we will see you on the other side of this break on what is not definitely going to sound like an episode of Advertising is Dead, but you guys don't, you tuned in, so you might as well listen.
Please do. It's going to be fun. Welcome back to Advertising is Dead. Yes, we're getting used to the fact that I say welcome to Advertising is Dead.
Advertising, it's called advertising, Puja.
Advertising, like you say, because you can't pronounce advertising. But I'm
Possible.
going to say it. Welcome back to Advertising is Dead, guys. And Varun, staying true to basically your mission, because I know what your mission is for the podcast and everything you put out. This is you want people to learn from your experiences and the conversations that you have with people. So that's really what I focused on. I want to talk about things that people don't know about you, things that you and I discuss. There's people see you as the successful entrepreneur, this creator. You have so many things going on, but I also know of the personal struggles you go through, the the growth that you've had over the last few years. And it would be interesting to talk about that. All right. I know this, I hope this doesn't get uncomfortable for you because I'm
At
just
some point,
making
it's
the
going to be
most,
interesting.
I'm just making the most of the fact that you've given me free reins to talk to you about things that,
Oh no,
uh,
what have I done?
yeah, what have you done? Okay. So you struggle so much, right? You fight your own demons, and there is a lot of that, and I have told you this so often. This is one of my biggest pain points, and you are the most indecisive person I know. I mean, it could take you years to decide on one simple thing like what car to buy, and thank God I'm in your life, because
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a 3 year process.
yeah, exactly, right. And I know that over the last few years there's been this process to your madness, and secretly at home we call it your time on the pot, and I do mean the potty pot, guys. But your time on the pot, and that literally clears things up for you, like literally it clears things up for you,
Many times
right?
it is time on the pot as well. I just like
Yes.
clarifying that statement there, but yes.
But for the sake of this discussion, yes, let's look at your pot as your thinking throne, and talk to people about your process, this indecisive nature in you. How have you been able to really, because it's not just about, hey, I'm so amazing and I'm this successful entrepreneur and I do like 500 million things, but you have your own process, you have your own struggles, you have your own demons, and it'll be interesting for people to see how you deal with that and how you process that.
So I'm a perpetually paranoid person about falling flat on my face.
Yes,
It has
true.
been my innate need to worry about what can go wrong all the time, and that keeps me like. I also think I enjoy procrastinating. Let me be honest. I think it's something which I enjoy as a process. I like to go through my own loops of things, and
Also true.
um, I like to mull over it for a long time. And I feel that mulling over things is a good thing. Most people say, no, you need to be decisive, you need to think right away. And I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that, like how you have slow fashion now versus fast fashion, you need to be slow thinkers and slow, um, decision makers I think that's the movement that I'm trying to start, if that's the term to use. But I think it generally comes from the fact that if I go way back, I think there are times when, even when I was younger, and I would do like random stuff, right? Like someone would say, "Oh, it'd be so cool for you to jump off a bus and run like how they do in the movies," and I've done that. Fallen flat, bruised elbows, knees, torn pants, gone like bleeding to dad's hospital, and he catches me there and realizes that I'm getting like blood and tar scraped off my elbows and knees, and he's like, "What were you doing?" And I try to say cricket practice, and at which point he reminds me that the cricket ground doesn't have tar. And lets that one slide. But I've gone from that to, I think I went through a phase where a lot of the decisions I took didn't really go well. And so I'm very careful. I think being careful at sometimes makes me sit on it for too long. And sometimes something tells you that, okay, hold on to this a little longer, right? It's fine. Because one thing is to say that you need to take a decision now because the time is right. The other is to say that time is right when you know it's right. And maybe for me, knowing it's right takes a bit of time. It takes some evolution in my head. It's a convoluted answer to a
Yes, it
simple
is.
question.
As always, with a million digressions as well. That's another thing for people that Varun, if I ever ask Varun to do something or I ask him a question, I will never ever get a straight answer. I will get nuggets about childhood or something that's happened in the day or something that he's read before he actually gets to the answer. It's quite annoying. It's a good thing I love him, but it can be quite a challenge. So, coming to the decisions you've made, and I want to spend a little bit of time on really, your childhood and all of that. But before that, I want to, get one thing out of the way, which is your obsession with having like a million projects on at one time. I know what people don't realize is that you're like this iceberg. They only see a very tiny part of what you're actually doing along with your work, along with all of this workout stuff that you've got going on,
Yeah.
which has, by the way, I have stopped Varun from putting out workout videos because I just cannot handle them. But
You stopped me for a year until you finally relented, and that started this
I'm like,
avalanche.
just do it, just put it out there. So you've got these workout things going on. You write a newsletter. There's obviously this other secret project that you're working on right now, which I'm not going to mention.
Yes.
And you have these
two secret projects.
Two secret projects. Yes. And you run these podcasts. So this is what people see. But on the side, like I said, it's like this iceberg. It's only this much, but there's so much more that you keep moving from one thing to another. Not all reach fruition, not all reach some form of conclusion, but why do you feel the need to work on so much at a time? Why could you not? Basically, why do you have no chill, Varun?
Yeah. I used to actually be, and this is an interesting thing, right? If you talk to my friends from when I was in college, and I'm not even talking post-grad, I'm talking like engineering and stuff like that, I was super chill. Like I was the opposite of how I am right now. Like I would be this guy who could just vegetate for an entire day and not do anything and be very happy about that fact. I could sleep for 20 hours a day if I wanted to. Not necessarily naturally induced sleep for 20 hours, but let's just say that it was 20 hours of sleep. That would happen many times. I also kind of feel that in some way also adds to this is that I had opportunities to do many things which me being lazy and me just not having any motivation in life kind of made me lose a certain amount of time. I feel that, I don't consider time lost. I feel like everything is learning.
There's so much unfinished. There's so many projects which are like unfinished, and
it's called basically it's a Sholay thing, right? Loha garam mein maro hathoda wala scene hai. So it's like you have opportunities in front of you, and at some point you're thinking, how much can you humanly stretch yourself, while not compromising the base stuff you don't want to ignore, right? Like I wouldn't, like I've tried my best and I sometimes fail, I know, to not ignore any time with you and Leia. Right, or to not try to compromise that, not compromise what my job role requires, and all that stuff. Some of the stuff which you hold base, which is your foundation, right? You don't necessarily compromise on that, but with everything else, are there stuff you can give up? And like, for instance, can I give up like watching a Netflix series every week and just do all this stuff? It's an easy answer. It's a yes. Like I don't need to watch a Netflix series, there are a few which I will still watch, but it's
But
not an
this,
immediate
but this
requirement.
relaxes you. It's not a project. It's not like, for example,
happy
if
place.
it's your happy place, right? That is the difference, because when I'm if I have more than one or two, and you know how much I enjoy a side project as well, right? Like outside of my work and things like that, I would do so much. But for me, I need to have this one main thing that I'm doing, or maybe two main things that I'm doing. I will not open up, Pandora's box and start putting my fingers into too many things, because it gives me anxiety. I want to be able to sit on the couch and just like be able to watch something and binge for days. I can do that. But you find that's your happy place, and it's just a note that I'm taking for myself, that if I just want you to be happy, I just have to let you be, basically.
Yeah. What you said is interesting, right? And I think it comes from that. I think as people, there are some of us who like to be structured in chunks. There are some of us who like to be structured in tinier parts. You are a person, and I know this about you, that you like to be structured in chunks, right? You want to have time for work, and you have time for home, and there's time for relaxation, and those are not small chunks. I mean, I say small chunks, they're not like an hour here, hour there. There are like a large number of hours in chunks.
Yeah.
For me, a chunk is half an hour. So when I do a podcast, and I've said this to a few people many times, people say, "Oh, what's your preparation process?" Right? My preparation process is 15 minutes, literally. Like I switch on 15 minutes before I record, I switch off 10 minutes after I record, which means I need an hour plus that 15 and 10 minutes, so an hour and a half. So can I schedule, like if I really wanted to, can I schedule an hour and a half every day to do an episode? I can. It's because the process of conversation now comes so naturally to me, because it was very raw when I started off. Now I'd say I'm honed the skill to an extent in certain aspects, and for me I look at it as a form of improv. It's like how you do improv comedy. I'm doing improv conversations, and that excites me. And there's this thing which Jeff Bezos once said, right? He said that there's nothing called work-life balance. It's called I think he used the word synergy, saying that you find those bits and pieces, and you figure a way to bring a bunch of Lego pieces together, and that's how your life is kind of structured. And I look at that when I think that's why I can function the way I do. Also, I lack attention. I have terrible attention, which I'm sure you'll get into at some point. I have world's worst attention span, and so it really helps me that I can jump from one thing to the other and leave all of it unfinished every day, but I'm taking baby steps every day.
That's cool. I like that. Taking baby steps every day. This thing, that I've been working on this, recently, which is not time management, but energy management. And I think you've been doing that for such a long time, just managing your energy, because you can't really control time, but you can manage your energy and how you choose to spend that energy, dispense that energy, and recharge every now and then, and find your happy spaces and happy things to do in multiple things during the day. I like that. Even though I may give you a little bit of shit about it, I like that. I respect that also. And, coming back to another thing that people don't know about you at all, because they see you as, at work, because we do work together. So many of the younger people look at you as this extremely zen character. And, like, for example, Leia's friends look at you as, Varun uncle, who is just such a relaxed person. And all my friends, my family, my mom specifically, right? Just look at you as this very, very sorted person who's got his shit together. But I know little do they know, the kind of shit you have given your parents. Basically, you were the worst child I have known of. And I was
pretty close.
Yeah. And I was really, I was a hard kid for my mother to raise. But after I met you and heard your stories, I was like, you win hands down. And then you went from that terrible kid that gave them an insane amount of heartache and headache, to this person who now will wake up 3 to 4 times a night to check on our children, or who's looked at as this extremely sorted guy and this extremely zen person. And I know you still have those moments privately where you where you're not in control and but how did that growth happen? Because we've never spoken about that. How did you go from that madness and chaos in your life to finding, so this Zen-like state that you now operate in, at least publicly? Let me put it out
Yeah.
there, at least publicly.
So the weird part about this, right, is growing up, I was actually very short-tempered. I think I still
Yeah,
am.
you still are.
But my short-temperedness is also a very weird variation of what regular short-temperedness is, right? And I actually stopped voicing my anger out. I feel when I finally went to boarding school, which was like I think 11th standard. You
Yeah.
throw your
Boarding
temper
school
around,
does that.
throw your temper around boarding school, you get beaten up, and that's what happened to me, right?
Absolutely.
Like I think night two is when I was like tried it with a senior. You know what's going to happen, like, and it just did not end well. But I know for a fact my parents would consider my years in Bangalore the dark ages, because I think that honestly till my 10th I was a decent kid. I wasn't an above average performer. I was an average performer. Right? There's some things I did well, like I still love to code and all that stuff. I famously wanted to be a drawer growing up. I didn't know what an artist was. I wanted to be a drawer is what I used to say. See, I can't even say drawer, however that is pronounced. My pronunciations are out of whack. But
Oh my
anyway,
goodness. I don't know how basically you survived.
there are many things about how I don't know how I've
Oh
survived.
yeah, absolutely. I that needs like an entire series, by the way, to talk about your survival
That is
skills.
the next upcoming Netflix series. Varun, how has Varun survived the world? Like it's just that.
It's crazy.
But I also came. I come from some form of privilege, right? I come from, and I think that brought about a certain level of entitlement at some level. And
And I'm very happy, by the way, that you recognize that you
yeah,
did come from privilege,
yeah,
uh, that there is a certain responsibility to it.
yeah, and but I also feel that privilege teaches you many things if you really want to learn from it. And if I look at my years in Bangalore, like throughout my, let's say, my 11th and 12th and my many years of engineering, all honesty, did a 4-year degree over 6 years, was the fact that I would constantly fail, and I still do this from time to time. My default setting is whenever you fail, you find someone else to blame for it, and that's a tendency I've had, and I still have. It comes to me naturally, right? The natural first instinct is that, but I've learned to at some point internalize it. I think what really helps is, as much of an extrovert as I might seem, that I love talking to people, I'm a person who has a very deep relationship with himself. I've always had that. I've always been that person who would talk to myself. I would tell myself stuff and try to push myself. Sometimes pull myself down a lot and take me down really bad rabbit holes, but most time talk to myself. And I feel that's what brought me out, because I mean, towards the end of my time in Bangalore, I was working in a call center, 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. shift. I terrible health, also because sleep cycles were off, always sick because of just generally, like, wouldn't eat enough, was a smoker, all of that stuff, kind of like, obviously would drink very very often and not necessarily the appropriate quantities. And then finally, by fluke or by whatever, I did apply for, somehow got through for my postgrad, to do mass in Pune. And when I finally got that, it was almost like I had never gotten into anything through merit, right? It always was through parents knew someone. It's all a privilege, right? I mean, and I say that very openly because I got into school because there was somebody knew somebody, and they figured that link, and mom and dad figured that out. I got into engineering again through Link and Link, and I was a management student. So again, same thing, right? Didn't get through the regular entrance tests and stuff like that. I finally got in through merit, and I remember this very clearly. I didn't believe it, and someone actually had to call me because I didn't even bother checking. I thought I wouldn't even get in. The highlight of how I got in also is an all different story. Is that I took a punt because I was doing an exam which was for Symbiosis, where at that point in time they would one exam for all their courses, and I was applying for Masscom, and I said, okay, Masscom won't need stats, won't need this. So I just answered English and general knowledge, and I walked out. I didn't even bother answering the other sections, right? A big punt. I don't know if the punt is stupidity what, but I got in. I got in first list, and I couldn't believe it because someone had to call me and say, your name's on the list, congrats. I'm like, I must have said the wrong name, and I cut my call because I was asleep. And when I got through that, I'm like, before I moved to Pune, that's a call I took with myself, right? I'm like, you blamed everybody your entire life, right? You found things to blame when you had no need to blame. Like you never had the big issues that anybody else did have. And I felt that, I mean, from that point onwards really helped. Also helps me that I found a great set of friends in Pune. I still have great friends in Bangalore, but my friends in Pune really became my nucleus, and they still are in many ways. That
Yeah,
one
the
group who are still
family.
yeah, that one gang of people is still my core center. Right? There's the people I truly are my friends. I hang out with on times when you just want to hang. Right? It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with anything else, and I feel it just comes from that.
And
And I've
was
gone a
it that?
long-winded answer to this thing,
No,
but I
but
think it's from that.
yeah, but what I hear from you is that the privilege actually didn't help you because you kind of took it easy. And then
Yeah.
suddenly, for the first time, when you had to do something on your own and you actually got in, that's what gave you the confidence to move
Yeah.
forward and said, hey, I actually can do this
Yeah.
on my own and build my own life and, have a certain path for myself that I chart out,
Yeah. And it's
because
not like I became a good student, by the way. I was still a bad
I
student. I
know,
was
but
still like backbencher, all that stuff.
But
Just attitude.
I've spoken to your friends. Like I know all your friends as well, and I know the ones from Bangalore, and the ones from Pune, and the ones from Bangalore can't believe what you've become today, right?
Yeah.
They cannot even imagine that this is who you are. But your friends from Pune, and they're my friends now as well, and when they talk about your time together and things like, you guys were, while you may not be good students, but you all still had a very clear path of what you all wanted to do.
Yeah.
There was this sudden burst of ambition that was suddenly forming in you, and I've seen that difference in the way your friends describe their time with you, the ones in Bangalore and the ones in Pune.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. There's sometimes in life where you yourself gift yourself confidence,
Yeah.
and you entering, applying to Pune, applying to Simbi, was you gifting yourself that.
Yeah.
And that was a defining moment, because had you stayed in Bangalore and continued to be on that path, you
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be doing what you're
I'd
doing
applied for a
today.
sales job. I remember I applied for
Yeah.
a sales job, which I didn't get because I was stupid enough to say in an interview that I'll do this for 2 years and then go study abroad, which is the one thing you don't say in an interview.
Yeah, but I mean, that's cockiness at a young age. But that's good. I'm really proud of your growth, man. And and I don't know, Varun, how much time we have, because
Yeah, we can go on. We have a long time.
we can, because I know I can keep talking about it. But the thing that I really want to talk to you about, and I think people should, that we should talk to people about, is this camaraderie that you and I have, this partnership that you and I have. And a lot of our friends and a lot of the people that we work with, our family as well, are sometimes shocked to see that we spend so much time together.
Yeah.
And the fact that we work together, we built our life together, we almost in a way somehow around each other, we're in each other's projects, but yet, there's this, it's not just a marriage, it's a true life partnership.
Yeah.
And it would be great to get, just from your side, because I'm interviewing you. This, I'm so proud of the fact that you and I can be very genuinely and truly happy for each other's in each other's success, even though the opposite person, hypothetically, me being happy for you, but I'm not really in a great state, that I may not be doing well professionally, or may have had a really bad day, or not on the path that I want to be on, but still can be happy for you, and vice versa, and
Yeah.
really push each other forward. What do you think makes us do that?
I think it's because we both look at our marriage as a partnership, and I feel like when you're in a partnership, you balance each other out, and I think it's important to kind of see what your roles are and how you balance each other out, and I think that's a really important part. Right? I feel that very early on we realize the roles each of us play. I call you the CEO of my life, and I stick by that, because I'm a person who needs managing. but I'm also a person who, and I have my own role, right? You have your role and I have my role. Our roles interject. It's not like we're in silos. I actually feel that at Glitch, the part of that as works is that I think a lot of the stuff which we do has its own silos,
Yeah.
and there is stuff that we do together. And even at home, I feel that we found some of those. It's good to not be like we are not that we were early on, but that I think
Yeah.
every couple is early on. We wear those twin outfit kind of like I'm with him and she's with me,
We
sweater
never
wearing
wore
people.
that kind of stuff.
We were that type, but never wore them. But I feel what's important is that you need to find stuff that you can do by yourself, and you need to find stuff that you do together. But you need to make sure that you don't compromise on either. And once you do that, and you also have interests that beyond, let's say, work and beyond everything else, that you can actually spend time doing. I wasn't a foodie till I met you, right? And you're a hardcore foodie, and I've become a foodie by virtue of knowing you now for so many years. In a similar fashion, that you were a person who didn't necessarily like a bunch of stuff, and now I've gotten that into you as well, right? I think you consume a lot more information now than you ever did because you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have a choice, or the fact that you were actually a person who I never found you to be a person who liked coffee, for instance, as
Oh
much.
my goodness.
And I
That's
got you
changed
on the
my
path
life.
of really enjoying good coffee, and different kinds of coffee, and I think they're all connected, right? Once you start enjoying good food, you then trying to look at what else can you enjoy, and you start looking at the smaller stuff. You don't have to look at the large stuff, right? You don't find, for lack of not for I mean, fine, I'll digress. Like turmeric tea might seem like a very weird thing, but
But that's
turmeric ginger
random.
tea is interesting.
But can I tell you what I think about this is that we genuinely like each other as people. And we have, both of us have had partners before, and a
Yeah,
few who we
yeah,
have actually been very deeply in love with,
of course.
right? But I mean, I shudder to think if I was with one of them. You know what I mean? Right now. But when I think back and just look at this time in quarantine that we spent together, I mean, people have driven each other mad in quarantine.
Yeah.
And I realized that I actually like him. I mean, I love him. He's my husband and everything. I made a baby with him. But I can actually tolerate him for the amount of time that we spend together.
Yeah.
And and I think it's fundamentally that you like each other as people, you respect each other's choices, you're able to call each other out on your bullshit,
Yeah.
and be able to, and this relationship of being able to actually truly listen to what the opposite person is saying.
Yeah.
I think that part has been important for us. And so when
That's
there are,
also you just given a very good management lesson.
which is what that
What
listen.
you just said. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's important in every aspect in life, in every relationship, that you truly listen. And I see so many young people today. I know we are young people as well, but much younger than us
Yeah.
today,
People in
who,
their 20s is how.
yeah, people in their 20s, damn. But anyways, we were talking about it the other day, right? That we're such happy, we would be very happy middle-aged people.
I feel that there is, even talks about a midlife crisis. I think midlife, I'm not midlife yet. I'll get there in 2 years, once I hit 40. But uh, it's, once you cross a certain age, and if you've been able to figure out a bunch of stuff, you've been able to do a bunch of stuff in your life, get just let's build the support. And I call a family a support system, right? There's no better way to put it.
Yeah.
It lets you then really, like, I don't think I would have been able to explore and do what I do as a creator, if I didn't do it when I did it. If I tried to be a YouTuber in the early days of it, let's say about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to do that. I feel that there's a time for things, and with us as well, I think we met at the right time. We met at the right phase in each of our lives, and we were exactly in many ways what the other person really needed. And I think that's important. I mean, you find in any partnership, you need need to meet each other at the right time. We need to start doing stuff together and life together at a certain time. But you also need to evolve with each other over time. If you stay the same, like I know people who are partying in the same way in their mid-20s as they do now. And I'm like, how do you still do that? Right? But maybe the person they're with is exactly the same and that works for them.
Yeah.
And if they're not, I know that eventually that might be a problem. And I feel that's what marriages are about. That's what relationships and partnerships are about.
Yeah, I think so too. And on that note, let's talk about, for you, this 2020 was for so many people a very, very tough year. But you were hyper productive during
Yeah.
2020.
I've realized that working from home is the best thing that could ever happen to me. I
Like,
mean, privileged, but yes.
yeah, annoyingly so. You were so productive in 2020. As the world starts opening up, and as you start, as we start venturing out, and we have started doing that, do you see that level of intensity continue for yourself, or is your world and your mind opening up to, let me go back to some level of normalcy?
I'm going to use two words which I hate, which is basically, and prelude to that is, there are two words which I hate the most, which is called the new normal. I have found my new normal, and I feel that working from home and working in a hybrid system, I feel that a hybrid system is amazing, is because it lets you choose which things really require you to be physically present somewhere else and which parts you can just do from wherever you are. And it doesn't have to be from home, it can be from anywhere, right? I don't think the intensity will go down. I think it's going to go up. And because I've also figured that 2020 for me was also testing a lot of stuff, right? It's like almost like being in beta phase. But I would keep trying stuff out through the year. Write a newsletter, start a second podcast, try to edit stuff yourself, make video, tried a lot of stuff, right? 21 onwards, in my head has always been, okay, now I figured the things that need to be organized. I figured what has to be done a certain way. Now actually is to go wider, go amplify further. So if I was able to experiment doing 10 things, how can I now consistently do 20 things while still maintaining the same amount of balance in life? Um, I know it sounds crazy, but um, why not?
Yeah, why not? Of
Can.
course.
And I crash and burn too. You know that. Like I crash and burn very often. Every 3-4 weeks, I have this one day where I'm just like flat. I'm like I cannot do anything. Brain's not working. Vegetate. Right. Body needs to reset. Mind needs to reset. It's like just restarting your laptop once in a while. Just body needs that. So do that. But when you see the opportunity to do stuff that really makes your mind, it's a mind and heart, kind of really get energized, really feeds into stuff which you always enjoyed, but you never thought there was a way to channelize it. Like what we're talking about, we're not talking about advertising on a show called Advertising Instead, but we're talking about how you can personally develop yourself, how you can personally develop relationships, how you can work together. And I think in my head, I've gone deeper into that space because I've realized that's the core of everything, right? All the other stuff, all the technical stuff, all the other stuff takes its own course. But if you can really put your finger down on these things and build out with that, everything else is just like, it's a technicality.
Okay, Varun, so I'm going to ask you my two last questions. One, what can Pooja, your wife, expect from you in 2021? And two, what can your audience expect from you in 2021?
Okay. I'll do Pooja with wife second because that's a longer answer.
Oh, wow.
Smart
Date night
purpose.
tomorrow, Varun.
Date night tomorrow. Wait, day after.
Yes, day
tomorrow.
after. Tomorrow. Yeah.
See, very bad at scheduling things as well. I forgot what day it is. So one of the things which I'm going to start doing this year, and it'll be interesting that I say it on the podcast, and I want to see how many people actually listen to this part of it, and that's when I won't post it anywhere else. I'm doing a lot more video this year. YouTube channel's coming up soon. Lot more video coming out. Not just the workout stuff. That's going to evolve. Lot more around health and fitness. That's being my anchor of just generally keeping energy alive has been fitness. But a lot more video, a lot more. Might even start doing live. A huge podcast piece coming up. Beyond Advertising is Dead.
Ooh.
Should start off early March. Something I've been thinking of doing for almost a year now. Pooja's frustrated with how long I've been talking about doing this, and she's like, finally just go ahead and do it, and I'm doing it. So yeah, so March is going to be an interesting month. I would say that March, April, May are really going to decide a lot of things around what I'm planning to do. Have some stuff around workshops and education courses as well planned out, but that's going to take some time to develop. Also considering I do this in non-work hours, so there is only so much time left to do those things. But yeah, lots happening there. So that's what audiences can expect. But a lot more stuff around personal development and just like stuff that inspires you and influences you, and just stuff which is broader, right? And just like very macro in that sense. What can Pooja expect? Can I expect me to be consistent?
Good. I like that.
I'm going to be a consistent person in just, I mean, the two biggest priorities for me in life are you and Leia, right? And obviously I bundled up Trip and Lulu into that, and that priority is going to be a consistent feature. It's a strong part of me, and there's no schedule that will come in take over that. Like none of those meetings on calendar don't get cancelled, which are called time, which are time with family, right?
That's cute.
I will try to be less intrusive into our weekends with some podcast recording or some talk I'm giving somewhere and stuff like that. But sometimes you don't want to say no to some people, so you take that 1 hour sometime when everybody else is asleep on a weekend and do those things.
I just want you to be happy, and that gives you happiness.
Yes.
So that's good.
Hopefully travel. I'm still hoping at some point, late 21. You and I have always enjoyed traveling, and I think what you can expect is that at some point we can just travel, right? Just go enjoy some great food, have a great cup of coffee in the morning, and some of those things. But yeah, what you can expect from me is that we will find more simple things to enjoy together. I think that's really the most important part.
Oh, I love that. I'm looking forward to that. So thank you, Varun, for taking
Thank you,
time
Pooja.
out and recording this episode of your show, Advertising Instead.
Yes.
I
Yes.
hope people enjoyed it.
Yes.
And goodbye. Next time.
No, before you
Varun
say
will-
goodbye,
Oh my.
there are 4 questions that every guest who has ever come on this show has been asked.
Yes.
So I think, and while it was not in your plan, I think you need to ask me those 4 questions. One being, which is a very tough one for me to answer, by the way. I don't know why I brought this up. What is the one thing which I spend a lot of time doing, which people who know me would be very surprised that I'm really into that? 2, what can I put together in an instant?
Nothing.
Third
Why
is
would I answer
no,
this?
1 second. Oh yeah, let's do that.
I should answer those
That's
questions.
actually a good way to do it. Okay, let's start with the first one. What is the one thing that I spend a lot of time doing that people would be surprised to know that I'm obsessed with something like
You
that?
can put together a music playlist in a matter of seconds, like a banging music playlist in a matter of seconds.
Huge music fan. Yeah.
Yes.
But what do I spend so much time doing and obsessing over that people would be surprised to know about?
I think you're quite predictable, sweetheart. People know that about you, that there is music, there is a shit ton of information that you're into.
CrossFit. I follow CrossFit like a sport. That is the
But
one
that's
thing.
out there on Instagram. I mean, people
That's true, I
know
shared
that
it.
about you.
But Matt Fraser retired, yeah. How can I not put it on Instagram? But fair.
But I mean, people know that about you.
That's true.
What's the second question?
Recommendations. I know what you're going to recommend. For one show you've obsessed over recently.
What are my recommendations?
What are your recommendations? What do you think my recommendations would be? To just like read, watch, listen to.
I know you keep telling me this, but I haven't heard anything you've honestly told me about this stuff in the last few months. I just have to put it out there. So why don't you answer that? I know you've been constantly giving me pieces of information about what you're
Yeah.
reading right now, but I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't hear it. What was it?
That's fine.
What were you
That's
talking
fine. No,
about?
I actually won't give a reading recommendation. I'll actually give a watching recommendation. If you
Yes.
haven't seen, huge sci-fi fan. So if you haven't, and just generally fantasy, everything else, watch WandaVision if you haven't. missing out
Great
on things.
show.
It's phenomenal.
Loving it.
Just like genre defying, like everything. And if you haven't seen The Expanse yet, and you're even partly a sci-fi fan, what are you doing? Just go onto Amazon Prime, watch The Expanse, like 4-5 seasons there. Just really watch that. Like that's a show. I have been watching that show for years because I watch it in tiny parts because that's what I schedule for streaming. And I'm still in like let's say season 3 now, but it's taken me like years to go through that. But I enjoy the show so much. Like I would honestly binge it, but I know that I've kept that much time for it, so I'll do that. And the last thing, so I've been adapting my last question for every guest, and I don't know how this would go. My question was initially, why will advertising not die? But now I always keep adapting it to, like, for instance, if it was Faye, I said, why journalism not die? Or if somebody else, it was like, why will this not die? What would your question on that front be to me?
Will podcast die?
No. I feel that we'll come to a different form of things. Audio as a medium, human beings are audio first, right? Sound reaches us. We register things through sound a lot more, and it actually is the sensory triggers on sound are phenomenal compared to what video is. So as long as we can hear, and we want to get the full experience of anything, podcasts are going to stay. They're just going to evolve. I think the way we tell stories on audio is just going to, we're just hitting like stage 1, and I feel we're just going to evolve to a whole different level. And video is going to be a large part of it. Creating 5.1 surround vibes in earphones is coming up, and yeah, that would be my very bad answer, but that's one answer.
Are there any other questions?
No, I think we're done. I think at some point people are like, "अरे तुम लोग घर पे बात करो ना. Why are you guys doing this on a podcast?" But I think we've crossed that bridge over here. But thank you, Pooja, for doing this. It's been fun.
Yes, it has been fun. Now I'll see you in the other room shortly.
Yes, see you in the other room.
Bye.